Back in September of 2024, I got a message from an artist looking to work on a folk demo he had. He had about half of it done. It was in the style of like a Zach Bryan sort of thing, Gregory Alan Isakov, and I'm no stranger to folk music. I mean, I literally have Gregory Alan Isakov and Zach Bryan tutorials on this channel. So it was clear that this was a project for me, but by the end of it all, we ended up with something that we never saw coming. So today I want to show you how your demo, however simple it may be, could end up turning into this huge production. We started with a folk demo and ended up turning into like a Western folk rock song. So there I was. I got a demo in my inbox saying, hey man, here's a super rough idea on what I'm thinking. Some spooky Greg Isakov vibes with a little bit of a big ending. Maybe like a Noah Kahan, Your Needs, My Needs type of thing. As always, I listened to it a couple times, and I started to work on a rough instrumental. The first thing I do when I have a demo is warp the track. So I'll take this free-flowing tempo of a demo, and I'll warp it to a static click so that I can play over it. That way I can also figure out the arrangement, get the chords together, and start on a rough idea of the guitar. After that, I'll typically take some creative liberties with electric guitar, piano, stuff like that. In this one specifically, I kind of started more with electric guitar, and this is what I had at the end of the hour. So I sent it to him, and he loved it. But obviously with it being such a rough demo that he sent over, he had a lot of ideas to change the arrangement and the instrumentation, and there's a plane going by. This is what he said he wanted. He wanted to shorten it to about 3 to 4 minutes. He wanted some banjo drums. He wanted some bigger drums coming in on the loud last chorus, and he wanted a lot more tension before the big ending. So I took all that information, went into Ableton, and fixed it all up. And then I also ended up adding a fiddle too, because why not? I mean, fiddle's kind of like the instrument you add in a Western folk song. So by the end of the session, we had this. He loved it, but there was a couple things he wanted to change. He thought an acoustic guitar buildup was better for that section. He also thought a cool melody over the strumming would do well. I thought those were cool ideas. I also added the piano, and by the third revision, this is what we had. After this, a few weeks passed while Charlie finished writing the song. Remember, this is a really rough demo. We only had half of the song done. So he then got back to me with some more notes. He really wanted to gradually build the climax. He said the ending felt like a little too epic rock, and he wanted to experiment with a new section with a new chord progression, which I thought was a great challenge. So he sent the new section over, and I put it in. This time I eased off the drums. I leaned a bit more into the piano. I brought in a gradual build of that strumming, and of course added the new section in. I also added some more orchestral sections, because at this point the song needed to feel like an entire atmosphere of people feeling the same way. So adding the acoustic instruments subconsciously kind of made it feel like this community was feeling the same way. And at this point, Charlie was ready to record his vocals, which means we're like 80% done the production. Exciting. He sent back his vocals and some final revisions for the instrumental, and it was finally time to put it all together. Now, for the mix, I wanted to lean into a lot of atmosphere, which means I used a lot of reverb. I wanted to keep the instruments natural, not like slamming it with a compressor. The visual idea I had for this mix, which kind of seems to be like a common theme throughout my projects, is like I have this kind of like visual idea of what the song is. Anyway, the visual idea for this one was an abandoned barn with like some sort of like cult-like following, all playing live music surrounding like a drum fire. Hey guys, so I thought it would be dope to do like an AI generated video of like that vibe I was talking about, of the thing I was just saying. So I did. It is not at all like I thought it would be, but I thought it was funny enough to include in this video. So we're just going to pretend this is a completely different segment in the video. Hope you enjoy.
A fire roared to life in an old oil drum, casting flickering shadows on the walls. The flames danced and swirled, consuming the wood with a hungry crackle. Around the fire, the group formed a loose circle, their eyes reflecting the dancing flames. A low hum began to emanate from the group, a deep rhythmic chanting that seemed to vibrate through the floor.
You know what I mean? Like gritty, rawness, but natural. So the compressors I used were pretty colorful. I used a lot of saturation. In fact, I felt like we needed to be kind of abnormally dynamic. Having an acoustic intro with an incredibly huge rock outro, it would just feel weird if it was like slammed with a limiter. So no overuse of limiters and no squashing the mix. But it also had to be that kind of like folky Gregory Alan Isakov vibe, which means we had to kind of balance like cinematic glue and the separation of the instruments. So in the end, this project evolved into something none of us ever expected, and different to anything I've ever worked on. A big Western, folky, creepy, cinematic record. This is the final result.